All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Unified Triplicity. My name is Josh, and on this show, we try to dissolve boundaries that could be acting as roadblocks, blocking you from seeing spiritual and even physical truths that are all around us for everyone to see. Today's video is going to be pretty short. It's just a brief explanation of some of the basics of modern banking. Okay, and a little bit of history of how what we know as banks came to be. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so as we all know, there used to be a gold and silver standard here in the United States. Obviously, our banking system goes back further than the United States itself. If you do some research on the Founding Fathers, you'll find that they tried the fiat currency, the paper currency that we have, even fractional currency. They've tried that before, and it didn't work. They've tried it multiple times. This is actually the third time that we have had a central bank in the United States. Excuse me. However, back to the point. So, Federal Reserve was formed in 1913. I'm almost positive on that. Should have done a little bit more research, but that's okay. But there was a gold and silver standard. It's actually part of our Constitution in the United States. Article 1, Section 10 of the U.S. Constitution, Congress shall not make any form of money other than gold and silver coin. Paraphrasing right there, please don't be that guy or gal, whatever you identify as. So people were carrying around gold and silver coinage all the time. Well, for bigger transactions, carrying around gold and silver coin could be kind of heavy. Gold is very heavy. An ounce of gold is, it's only an ounce, but when you're talking about buying things in excess of even millions of dollars back then, you're looking at a lot of gold. So what did they do? They came up with these notes that you would take to a bank. The bank was a storage facility for gold and silver coinage. You would take these notes, say, okay, I have, well, in today's value, $2,000 right here in notes. Okay, I want 1 ounce of gold, please. That's the rough estimate last time I checked on the price of gold per ounce without the premium. Okay, so you would take that note in, pass it to the banker. The banker would then give you your gold or your silver, however you wanted it, and that would be that. Well, when the United States government decided to make it illegal for people to own gold and silver, that kind of messed up that whole gold and silver standard when it came to U.S. currency. There's a lot of history behind it that even before that, I'd love to go into it, but I could seriously make a 2-hour presentation on the banking system. I'm tired. I worked an 8-hour day, busting my butt doing concrete. No, I do not want your pity. I do not want any attention from that, okay? But some basics of banking, and I feel compelled to make this video because most people do not understand what they are doing when they walk into a bank and ask for a loan, okay? So let's say if it was just me and the person watching this video. We'll label me as person A and then whoever as person B. Okay, walk into a brand new bank that's never been, no customers whatsoever. All right, and we both, me, myself, and whoever may be watching, person A and person B, both decide to deposit $1,000 each into that bank. Okay, so now that bank has the equivalent of $2,000 of whatever it is, if it was gold, silver, if it was cash, except in today's standards, it's cash. So we'll just use the cash aspect for now. Okay, so that bank has $2,000 basically in its vault. It has $2,000 in its money. It's trying to invest in ways to basically create money out of nothing for itself, because they have to be able to, make a profit. They have to be able to pay for their employees' wages and so on and so forth, yada yada yada. Well, one of the ways that they do this is, say, if I, person A, were to come in and ask for a loan of $1,000, they will actually take that $1,000 from person B and loan it to me. While at the same time, because I went in and I asked for that loan of $1,000, they are printing or creating that money out of nothing. Okay? So now, because I got that loan of $1,000, they have to cover their bases to make sure that your $1,000, if you were to come in and say, nah, I don't want to bank with you guys anymore, give me my $1,000, they need to be able to cover that. Otherwise, they can get sued, and they don't want to do that. Or maybe they do. The big banks seem to want to nowadays, so that way they can have, the government bail them out. However, I digress. So now that $2,000 that was in there is really $3,000. So you added that $1,000 loan. Okay, and it created $3,000. So that original $2,000 is now only worth 2/3 of what it was. So 2/3 of $2,000 is approximately $1,300 and pardon my math here. I believe it's $1,333. Okay, so that $2,000 is now actually worth dollar value wise about $1,333 to that bank. Now, when you have people doing this on a daily basis on a global scale, this is the source of inflation. Every time that somebody goes in, and I've been guilty of it too, go in, ask for a loan, ask for a car loan, ask for a home loan. The home loan is a big one. Okay, so you take in to account that now your money is worthless. Funny little play on words there. You take that 1,333 divided by 2, and you have $667 roughly. So what was your $1,000 is now worth less than $700 in the long run. Okay, because of inflation. Every time that you go in, ask for a loan, your signature is what spawns the creation of money out of nothing. They literally create the money out of nothing. They don't create it by, doing anything productive for society. They're not manufacturing anything. They're not producing anything worthwhile. Okay, in fact, quite the opposite. They're actually parasites sucking off of your hard labor and benefiting and profiting off of it at your expense, not theirs. They're just sitting pretty, hands clasped, sitting there smiling and just soaking up all the freaking idiocracy. So, why do I feel compelled to tell people this? Because everybody nowadays is wanting to buy a house. They're wanting to get a brand new car. They're wanting to get personal loans to do things that they want to do. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Loaning money isn't necessarily a bad thing, but with the modern banking system, it is absolutely a terrible thing if you want the money to stay worth what it was worth in the first place. So, what is the solution to this? Well, the solution is to stop taking out loans unless you absolutely have to. If you have to take out a loan to cover your bills and to get yourself out of a hole, that's one thing, but be smart about it, okay? It's one thing to use the system to get yourself out of the system, okay? It's something completely different to use the system as a means of trying to get or attain that power differential over the next human being. That's not what you want. If that's your motive, then you're falling under the category of people who love money. And the Bible says plenty about that. Norse mythology says plenty about that. The thing about money is if you place that value, or if you place value on money to an extent that you place it on a higher pedestal than life and morality, then you're going to go downhill. Really, you're absolutely going to go downhill. Okay? And some people ultimately sell their souls just to get this green, worthless banknote that's nothing other than an IOU debt note. Okay? And probably the worst aspect of it is when they go to get a mortgage. Okay? And this is why I've never got a mortgage. I have a car loan, and I wish I wouldn't have got a car loan. I wish I would have been more patient. But everybody goes to get a mortgage. They want to get that 30-year mortgage. Okay, well, let's break down the word mortgage real quick. You've got mort and gage. Mort means death. This is where we get the word mortuary from, where you're going to find dead people at. Post mortem, rigor mortis. It's the same root because it's all meaning the same thing. It means death. And a gage, I can't remember what language that this is in or what specific definition of what word, but a gauge, you can, if you do your proper research and etymological defining of words, you'll find that a gauge is a pledge or a token. Okay, so we're talking about a death pledge here. And, in modern banking, they might try and say, oh, it's because you're paying down the loan to its finality. Whatever they want to say, whatever nonsense they want to try and cast in your direction, just know that you're going to be paying that shit off for a long time, probably until the day you die. And then here's the kicker. If you don't finish paying on it, then guess what? It's up for foreclosure. That house that you spent, 29 years or so paying off before you croaked and you were going to give it to your kids. Oh, well, they missed a payment because they were dealing with finances because you died. And then guess what? Now they foreclose on that home and they take it. And so you spent that 29 years or 30 years, almost 30 years, paying for a house that ultimately isn't going to get passed down into your family anyways. And they don't care. These bankers do not care. Okay? That is a fundamental aspect that everybody needs to understand here. Bankers are not your friends. They're about as close as friends to you as any modern politician is to you. And even better, they're about as close to a friend to you as the freaking Pope and all his pedophile friends, okay? Stop giving your trust to bankers. And this also goes to these car loan places. They do the same thing. They do not care. They act like they are your friend, but they are not your friend, okay? They only want to make money off of you. They give you just enough hope that they care about you to keep you coming back for more. Okay? So people want to understand why inflation is happening, especially at such a rate that it is. It's because you're getting so many loans, and some people aren't paying them back. And then guess what? You don't pay that loan back, and the government pays for it, basically. They write it off to the IRS. The IRS says, oh, well, that's a bad debt. You don't have to pay taxes on that at all. And so ultimately, that's one source of inflation. And then the loaning, where they print the money, that's another source of inflation. Okay? This is to understand inflation and how you and myself and my friends, your family, my family, have all participated in this system. We fed the beast, and the beast is not so freaking scrawny anymore. Okay? The beast is ready to attack now. Okay? Do some research into the freaking Fabian Socialist Society, and you'll see a wolf in sheep's clothing on their emblem. How many books warn of the wolf in sheep's clothing? And what's one of their tactics? It's freaking sneaky, deceiving banking systems. Okay? And this isn't some weird-ass conspiracy theory. This is verifiable. You can look it up. Okay? Do your research like a grown-up, and quit relying on everybody else to just spoon feed you this information. I can't believe I have to say this in a world full of fucking adults, but you guys are grown-ups. Do your research and quit trusting people on blind faith. I'm here to just pass along a message so that way you, the listener or watcher, can also do your own research the way that I have. Okay? And I get a little bit passionate about this because the world's kind of in a weird spot, and it's because we keep this system going. The longer we keep it going, the stronger it's going to get. We need to back off of it, and if we're going to use the system, use it to get out of the system. Okay? When you hop in a hole, you don't use the shovel to keep digging the hole deeper when you can't get out. You got to use that shovel to get yourself out. Okay? Quit digging yourself into debt. Okay? Please, for the love of God, quit putting yourself in debt, especially to make yourself seem cool. Look, no one cares about the freaking car that you bought, and if they do, they're going to care for probably 2 weeks, and then they're going to be over it. Okay? No one cares that you bought a house. Okay? They may act like it. They may even be jealous of you for a minute, but ultimately nobody cares. When they go home, they're not going to lose sleep because you bought a house. They're not going to lose sleep because you bought a slightly newer car than theirs. Okay? Quit trying to impress people with all the fancy bullshit. It's not worth it. Okay? It's not worth the damage it does to your finances. It's not worth the damage it does to your freaking everyday life, your spiritual life, and especially your mental health. Because I know from my own personal experience that being in debt is not a fun place to be. So please, if you learn anything from any of my videos, this right here, this presentation is probably the most important. Okay? Your activity in the banking system where you go in and ask for loans is ultimately what's causing inflation and ultimately what's causing this world to go sideways in the financial aspect of everything. Okay? Quit taking out loans all the time. Quit trying to freaking one-up your friends with a newer car. Whatever the case may be, I'm not going to assume that everybody's doing that, but please just do your research on things, and hopefully we can start to make a difference here, people, because at the rate that we're going, we're going to end up being freaking slaves, indentured servants to a government that is indifferent on whether or not we live or die, or if we're happy or sad. They don't care. Okay? As long as they get to sit pretty on their freaking throne on the big old hill. Okay? Capitol Hill. My bad. Excuse me. Anyways, so I hope you guys got something from this. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, share. Ultimately at the end of the day, I'm not going to lose sleep if you don't. Plain and simple. All right. Peace.